you for being here. This is a wonderful turnout. We are so happy to see you. You know why we've gathered, but I want to say that we are together today to honor the service and sacrifice of our armed forces that served during the Vietnam War. A few people have said, why this date? Well, this date was chosen because it marks when the last American combat troops left Vietnam. But what we want to do today, most importantly, is we know that many of our servicemen and women were not treated very well upon their return from their service. And so more than anything, we know that that's long overdue. So today we want to say welcome here and welcome home. If you are able, I'm going to ask that you stand for the presentation of the colors, and if you can, remain standing for the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please join me as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nine million Americans served during the period of the Vietnam War. They represented 10% of their generation. 6 million of them were volunteers. They were the oldest and best educated force America ever sent into harm's way. 97% would be honorably discharged. And today, the vast majority of them testify with their actions and their words that they are proud of their service and would serve again if called. November 14th, 1965, 10:48 a.m. Elements of the 7th Cavalry touched down at Landing Zone X-Ray. Within 30 minutes, the Battle of the Ai Drang began, the first major battle fought by the American Army in Vietnam. Over 3 harrowing days, vastly outnumbered American forces would hold out and ultimately repel enemy forces. American forces would never lose a major engagement during the ensuing 8 years of combat operations. Known as the Wall, the Vietnam Memorial stands in honor of those who served in the Vietnam War. The names of the men and women who gave their lives are inscribed in the order they were taken from us. 58,286 names. The youngest was Marine Private First Class Dan Bullock at 15 years of age, and the oldest was Navy Petty Officer First Class Kenna Taylor at 62. There are 3 sets of fathers and sons, 1 set of stepbrothers, 39 pairs of brothers, 8 women, 16 clergy, and 155 Medal of Honor recipients. And let us not forget, there are still more than 1,600 missing and unaccounted for personnel. The French were in Vietnam before the Americans and lost more than 70,000 lives. More than 400,000 Allied troops served with the American forces. Joining as allies with the United States were the Republic of Korea, Thailand, the Republic of the Philippines, Australia, and New Zealand. These allies suffered more than 5,000 lives lost during the course of the war. American combat forces left Vietnam in 1973. 2 years later, Saigon fell. Over those last 2 years, without American and Allied combat forces in the region, casualties in Southeast Asia were doubled what they had been during the 10 years prior. To our Vietnam veterans who answered the nation's call to serve, we thank you. Your greatness is etched in history from the battlefields of Southeast Asia to the neighborhoods of hometown America, where you continue to bring blessings and inspiration to your families and your country today. To the families of our Vietnam veterans, we thank you for the greatness of your support, sacrifice, vigilance, and compassion. And to our allies who stood by us 50 years ago, we thank you. The greatness that was earned by this generation never left you, and it never will.
I know that's just 5 minutes of video, but I find it very moving, and I think for those of you who saw those sights, did those things, heard those sounds, smelled those scents, it has to be even more so. So thank you for your attention during that. What I'd like to do now is we have 4 directors here from various veteran service organizations who are very eager to greet you as well today. So first I'd like to introduce John Hilgert, the director of the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs.
Good afternoon. This day, March 29th, 43 years ago, just 2 months after signing the Paris Peace Accords in January 27th, 1973, the last of our troops left South Vietnam. Military Assistance Command Vietnam, MACV, was disestablished and relegated to history. Also on this date, the last of the acknowledged American prisoners of war were released, bringing the total to 591. The Vietnam War was over. It would still be another 2 years before Saigon would fall. The conflict cost 58,000 lives of American servicemen. Tens of thousands more would fall prey to the stresses of that war. The Vietnam War inflicted casualties of 1 in 10 of those who were served. The war was divisive. And the war became part of anyone who was alive at that time. Herbicides, such as the one known as Agent Orange, not only affected the veterans of the war, but indeed may affect succeeding generations of those veterans. We all know the aftermath. We know the communists sent millions to re-education camps and new economic zones. We know about the millions of people who could not tolerate the harsh new government and became refugees. We know about the 200,000 to 400,000 boat people who perished on the sea. It's through this suffering that I believe horrifically validates the cause for which you fought. The sacrifice of the nearly 3 million Americans who served. But we choose this day to remember those days that came before March 29th. We recognize the sacrifice of those who served in Vietnam, and we recognize and honor their service. There is no doubt that those who served answered their country's call in the best tradition of any generation who took the oath of a soldier. Answering that call, winning every major battle, and giving it your all. 43 years we recognize that. We know that. We feel that. But 43 years ago, you were met with indifference at best and contempt at worst. America has learned. One only needs to look to the Gulf War veterans and how they were welcomed home. One only needs to look at the way every veteran today is treated to know that this nation has learned a lesson. America is contrite. It is committed to make sure that America will provide a welcome home to its warriors worthy of the service and sacrifice of its armed forces. The veterans of the Vietnam War have taught this lesson to our nation, a lesson that every returning service member since has benefited. So, in recognition of your duty, of your service, your honor, and your unique valor, I want to thank you, and I want to say welcome home. Thank you for having me.
Good afternoon. As I look around this room, I personally am filled with pride and honor to be able to stand before you and to say thank you. And there was a statement that my grandmother used to tell me that is, if you didn't have anything nice to say, that you shouldn't say anything at all. And unfortunately, for the Vietnam veterans, the people that said the degrading and terrible things to you were not brought up the same as some of us in this room, and especially some of us from Nebraska. Okay? I talked to my uncle last night, and I asked him, he's a Vietnam veteran, and I asked him, what would you want somebody to say to you for the time that you served and the things that you had to basically endure, the hardships, the hurt feelings, the terrible things that were spoken to you? And he told me that he thought the neatest thing that would mean the most, besides to say thank you, would be for somebody to say that they were sorry that they had to endure that. So I'm going to speak for those Americans that said things to you that shouldn't have and treated you with disrespect for serving your country, to say that I'm sorry that you had to endure those things. You know, my heart is really bleeds for the veterans that have served that had to be spoken to with such disrespect. So I am sorry that you had to endure that. But one thing that I know personally, the difference that you made in Vietnam, is because I have a friend that lives in Riverside, California, that's from Vietnam. And she told me the things that she got to accomplish. She got to go to school. She was a translator. She was an airline stewardess. I guess we call them flight attendants now. But back in the day, she was a stewardess. And she said, had it not been for the American troops that came over there and served, she would not have had the opportunities to do the things that she has had to do in her lifetime. Her son now gets to go to school in America, and in America that she is proud to say that she met and had the first opportunity to meet in such terrible circumstances back in Vietnam. So when I get to say that I know personally that you made a difference in this room for your service, I know that based on somebody that's been there, somebody that's been able to tell me that. So thank you from her and for the Vietnamese people that you were able to make a difference for in their lives. Thank you for your service, and I am again truly sorry that it took us this long to be able to tell you and to gather you in a room like this and to be able to tell you how much it means to me as somebody that served, because it's always about what people did before you that makes what America is today, to make what the service is today in our country. So thank you very much for what you've done. and you continue to do as citizens of the best state in the Union. So thank you very much, and you have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you very much, and thanks for allowing me to insert myself. I get very little time at home, and Don Preister's right there, my colleague from the legislature. Don, nice to see you. I have very little time at home, and we jammed too many things this morning. So I wanted to be here. I apologize for being a little late. It's great to be here. When I got into office a little over a year ago, what I said I would do is that we would do something significant with the VA. And you're going to be hearing from Don Burman here pretty quick. Don is the administrator of the Veterans Administration Hospital here. He's doing a terrific job. He came in here, really not a VA career during his entire career, but came in from the private sector, and he's come in with all sorts of great ideas and new ideas. And but I want to see, I'm getting right to the point, right to the point. I went to see the VA secretary about a week into my tenure in the Congress, and I said, look, we need something in Omaha for the veterans. And we've been waiting 30 years, but going up and down a list and around a list and up and down and across and over and under, and we need something. And he said, I want to do something different. If we're going to do something in Omaha, I want it to be entirely different. I want it to be new. I want it to be something that the veterans are in charge of, something that the veterans can be proud of. So a year later, 2 weeks ago, Secretary McDonald announced what's called a Center of Excellence. The first Center of Excellence for the VA in the country will be here in Omaha. And why is that? Why Omaha? Well, the Veterans Administration, Don and his team, and the central office in Washington, and our team in the congressional office have spent the last year talking to veterans and asking, what is it that we need? What do you want to have happen here? And what I heard was we want more integrated health care. We want more choices. We want to be able to see the physicians we want, to get the care we want when we want it. We know we get good care at the Veterans Hospital. It's great care. But we want it to be easier, more accessible. We want more parking. We want things that you should not even have to ask for. It should be available to you without asking. And so we took that message back to Washington, and here's where we are. Here's where we are. What we're going to see is in the next couple of weeks, we're going to see a plan for a new medical center on the campus, connected colleague of mine in the legislature, and but that was so many years ago, and he's so young. So how can someone be a colleague of mine in the 90s and still be younger than me? I don't know how that's possible. But anyway, thank you so much for allowing me to speak. We've got work to do. We've got a lot of work to do. But you guys are involved. You're going to be involved from the get-go, as hopefully you've been up till now, telling us what to do. This is going to be a project built from the bottom up, not from the top down. Thank you very much.
I got the congressman on one side and Sam Elliott on the other. This is tough act to follow, isn't it? First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm known in the facility as just Don. So if you're ever in the facility and you want to have a chance to sit down and visit and have a cup of coffee, just ask for Don. I'll come find you. We'll have a cup of coffee together. Congressman has laid out a very robust plan for us, and he's right on the button. Lots of work to do. You know, I think every one of us that came up here earlier probably went out and researched the Vietnam era press clippings from the past. I was prepared to inundate you with a ton of statistics that would thrill you to no end, I'm certain of it. Let me just give you a couple small things. One is that 8 August of '72 is when I went into the Air Force, and I got out in April the 8th of '82. So I'm a veteran like you, and appreciated every single year that I was in the service. I was on a SAC base in Blytheville, Arkansas, after I got out of the training down in San Antonio, and then from there I was on my way to Greece, and my orders were redlined to Hawaii, and then from there I did some TDYs into Guam and Wake Island and places like that. I am not a combat veteran, and I admire our combat veterans and appreciate them. But I did learn one thing while I was in the service, for those of us that were in the Air Force. We see some hands from the Air Force folks in here. Thank you. We had the best food, by the way. Plus, we traveled in first class, as all the Air Force folks know. No, that's right. One of the things I knew when I went through the Green Monster and got my uniform, and which I was promptly told looked like 3 sacks of potatoes on me, was that I knew exactly where I was in terms of mission. When the base commander came in and gave us a speech about what our role was going to be, there was a picture starting with the President of the United States at the very top of the pinnacle, and then working itself down to a little, maybe a half-inch stick figure. And I can remember the base commander saying, "And that's you." And I thought, well, at least I know where I'm at. I've got some meaning, some purpose. And what I found out is that we had a lot of meaning and purpose, because we were brothers and sisters. Didn't matter what color we were, how tall we were, how short we were. What we had in common was that we were there to serve our country. I took the oath just like you. Just like you. Every single word meant something to me. Just like you. When I think back of the experiences I had with folks that were coming back from in-country, I can only imagine what you went through. I would happen to be working the switchboard in Blytheville when some of our veterans came home. I also had the privilege of placing phone calls for our POWs when they got back into the D.C. area. It was a real thrill for me. I was part of the baby lift when we were lifting the babies out of Saigon as well. So I had a little bit of experience, not like our combat veterans. I want you to know that, because I take this job very seriously. And Congressman Ashford is right on. We have an obligation to take care of our veterans. I'm blessed to be a veteran. I can see things through veteran eyes. I can understand maybe a little bit more about what our veteran need might be, as opposed to somebody that doesn't. President Lincoln said we're to care for those that are born in the battle, their widows and their orphans. That is our only mission. It's our only mission. To that end, Congressman Ashford and many of the other legislative representatives have been working hard to allow us to bring new health care here. Now, I know that we've all been waiting for some type of a new facility. I recognize that. I knew it when I applied for this job. I was in Oregon working at a VA hospital. I am not a...
American served
There he is. See, he's everywhere. Okay.
They represented 10%.
Okay, I'm going to try to do some electronic stuff here.
6 million were volunteers. They were the
Now y'all quit laughing at me. It was my stomach that hit that thing. I just want you to know. Don't ask me to get in that uniform again. I don't have any room. And I'm stepping back a little bit from this thing. Okay. But I'll tell you that when I applied for this job, first of all, I wanted to come to Omaha because I'm exactly 7 hours either going toward Chicago or toward Oklahoma to see my kids. And my only two grandchildren live in Oklahoma. By the way, they're going to be playing this weekend in case some of the Nebraska folks need a team to cheer for. So here's the deal. I have experience in building hospitals. I built 5 hospitals while I was on the private side. I thought perhaps I can bring some expertise to the table that might make some sense. I'm also bringing a fresh perspective, and with the vision of Congressman Ashford and others, Congressman Fortenberry, our senators, we're going to get something done here in Omaha, and it's about darn time. I want to be a part of this because this is my VA. These are my veterans. Every time you come into our hospital, we're thrilled, we're honored, we're pleased. We should fall all over ourselves to take care of you, to make sure you know this is something you earned. We don't have to ask about what your credit card looks like. We don't have to say, well, can you pay for this? You earned this right, and I want to make sure you have it in our facility. All of our responses from our veterans have been positive. Occasionally we get a negative. We had one individual wrote that he didn't like the fact that we had the Bunde coffee machines in the clinic area, thought that was a wasted expense. Well, those were donated. I want you to know that, okay? So we didn't go out and spend that money, but they were donated. A lot of things that we hear are misunderstandings and misconceptions. Our VA, when things were looked at, were fine. We didn't have any problems here in this area. Our staff work hard. We've got about 3,000 employees that work hard every day for you. We have about a $400 million budget, and we're in 8 locations across Nebraska, western Iowa, delivering health care daily to our veterans because they deserve it. But this new plan that the Congressman has been talking about must go through for us. The days of a $1.3 billion hospitals are over. And so we need to look for what pieces of a hospital need can we put onto that campus that'll make sense. Step 1 is going to be the outpatient clinic that Congressman spoke of. And it'll be state-of-the-art in every regard. It will bring new ambulatory surgery to the campus and new space, needed space. We have about 800,000 square feet of space on the campus. Our statistics will tell you that we need about 1.2 million to make the campus work properly. So we have a little bit of work, and that's why the expansion is necessary and why it will not be a waste of money for our government that we have supported for years and years to support this project. And I'm pleased that the Secretary has found that Omaha ranks in the top 5 facilities that he wants to make this plan work in. So we've got a lot of work to do. I'm going to need your help. I'm getting out to the VSOs so I can have a chance to talk about what it is we're trying to get accomplished. I'd ask you to come to those meetings and give me your input. We've got a Veterans Advisory Group at the hospital. They do a yeoman's job. Dick Harrington and group are always in the area to make sure that they're taking care of veterans. There are comment cards there. Fill out the comment cards. Tell us what we're doing good. Tell us where we can improve. Tell us what you want in the future, so I have a better idea what the veteran wants as opposed to what maybe Don Burman wants. So I'm going to ask for your support and your help. I want you to stay focused on any of the news that comes out. So you are getting the straight skinny from our reporters who do a fine job of making sure that you're informed. But if you don't know the the right answer to some question that you want answered, just call us. We'll figure it out together. If you have not registered for care, we're registering folks out here right now. You need to stop and get registered for care. We need to see if you're qualified under these different programs. You've earned these. Let's give them to you. Let's get you in line. All I can say is this, and I had a lot of quotes for you today. I'm not going to use them. I'm just going to tell you this. I love you guys. I love every one of you. I pray the good Lord will keep me here long enough to fulfill these challenges that we have, so that in the years to come, your grandchildren who will go into the service because of what you did will say, that's my VA. That's where I get my care. I'm sure thankful that my veterans before me paved the way for me to have this. God bless each and every one of you all. Come see me at the VA. I love you guys.
Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here today to help recognize and welcome you home. As authorized by Congress, on behalf of the nation, we are doing what we should have done 50 years ago. Thanking and honoring our Vietnam veterans and their family for your service and sacrifice. The Vietnam War was the longest and most unpopular war in which American ever fought. The first combat troops arrived in 1965 and fought the war until the ceasefire of January 1973. For many of the American veterans of the war, the wounds of Vietnam will never heal. One of my favorite memorials in Washington, D.C. is the Vietnam Memorial, the Wall. I have visited and paid my respects on numerous occasions. To say it is moving is an understatement. Never have I visited without shedding a tear. I don't know if it's seeing the names of the more than 58,000 Americans who gave their lives to their service of this country, or if it's the family members rubbing the names of the loved ones onto paper. Seeing your own reflection as you view the names of the wall, bringing together the past and the present, or looking at the sentimental items that visitors leave behind by the names of the loved ones that they've lost. It's a remarkable memorial, like so many of the others in Washington, D.C., honoring the men and women that have fought and sacrificed for our freedom. I think for me, the part that really tugs at my heartstrings, though, when visiting the memorial, and really at any time, is remembering the countless stories that I have heard and read of the veterans that have survived the war in Vietnam, that came home without the respect, the honor, the dignity, and the gratitude they so deserved, that you deserved. You were never welcomed home, and many of you were treated very poorly. It saddens me as an American that this occurred, and I am so thankful that today the troops coming home are coming home to a hero's welcome. You, Vietnam veterans, should have come home to a hero's welcome. For the Vietnam veterans in attendance today, you've waited a long time for this. On behalf of the more than 300 employees of the VA Regional Office in Lincoln, we appreciate you, we commend you, and we thank you for your service to our country. Welcome home.
We have certificates for family members who registered with us today, and we have lapel pins for all of our Vietnam veterans. I want to tell you, though, I have a list, and some of you have handwriting like I do. And so if I say your name wrong, please attribute it just to not knowing, it's not the intent of my heart by any means. First, we have a couple family members that we would like to recognize. Jeannie Nemec, wife of Bob Nemec. Nemiec? Would you join us up front? We have a certificate for you. So I was wrong on the first one. Sorry about that. I think the next name is Nate Balter, for Jim Balter or Baltas. I'm going to move on then to the names of our Vietnam veterans. If you'd come up front, please, and receive your lapel pin. Thomas Wagner. It's Army, 1965 to 67. Ralph Sabatka. Navy, 69 to 71. Ron Swoboda, or Swoboda? I know people who say it both ways. Air Force, 74 to 79. Dan Cady, Army, 69 to 2005. Joel Schneider, Marine Corps, 69 to 71. Danny Reese, Air Force, 68 to 69. Aaron, how's the pace? How's the pace? Okay. Michael Horton, Marines, 67 to 68 and 71 to 73. Edward Reinhardt, Navy, 66 to 69. Oh, I cannot read the next one. Looks like Timothy Cady, maybe, Marine Corps, 69 to 71, 9/15/69. Oh yeah, it is Timothy. Yeah. Thank you for recognizing that I was saying your name. Donald Trevarthen, Army, 68 to 71. Edward Reinhardt, Navy, 66 to 69.
You're supposed to stay here. You already got me.
No, did I? Are you on here twice? You can have a seat till we need you again. Bob Swanson, Navy, 59 to 65. Larry Mickey, Navy, 69 to 70. Donald Prohaska, Army, 68 to 69. Terry Hester, Navy, 66 to 70. Somebody who has really bad handwriting. Floyd Gratson, maybe, Marine Corps, 66 to 70. Is that you, sir? Was I close? Grody, I'm sorry. Ross Rivera, Navy, 60 to 64. I'm sorry, I didn't get that right.
Yeah, Grody.
Harry Johnson, Army, 65 to 71. Tim Butts, Air Force, 65 to 69. Adrian Tavorak, Army, 65 to 67. Close? Close? Okay. Cal Rogers, Marine Corps, 69 to 71. Dave Huxhold, Army, 67 to 68. Tom Workman, Army, 66 to 68.
Thank you, sir.
Robert Nielsen, Army, 67 to 70. Is that your dad? Where is he? Where's your dad?
Sir. Okay.
This happens to be Aaron's father. Aaron's our public affairs officer, and he put together this entire ceremony today. So we're happy to have him here. Edwin Patcher Jr., Navy, 65 to 70. I hope you're not laughing at my pronunciation back there. Oh, again and again and again. I tell you, I could show you some of this handwriting. Michael Sheridan, Navy. Say it again. Oh, I'm sorry. I am a failure. Michael Sheridan, Navy, 68 to 73. Tom Stritt, Army, 69. I saw Tom earlier. There he is. Michael Young, Army, 69 to 70. Greg Holloway, Army, specifically 7th Cav, 68 to 68. Alan McGinnis, Army, 69 to 72. Theodore Pryor, Air Force, 50, it looks like 50 to 85.
1950 to 85.
Wow, thank you for, yep, it's a long time. Yeah. You saw my hesitation. I didn't think that could be right. That's a
My
long time.
handwriting's terrible.
No, that's a long time. Thank you so much for that. Rorig Bolt, Navy, 70 to 74. Steve Stark, Army, 66 to 68. Leonard Sitzman, Navy, 58 to 62, maybe? Don Kovar, Army, 64 to 66. Kurt Busch, U.S. Marine Corps, 66 to 67. Mark Spadaro, Air Force, 74 to 78 and 81 to 98. Dennis Schissel, just says USA, so I'm not sure which branch. 72 to 76. Thomas Brown, Marine Corps, 65 to 69. Tim Haney, U.S. Marine Corps, 69 to 71.
He went out of sequence.
Okay. Robert Brown, Army, 68 to 69. Herbert Smith, Air Force, 56 to 77. James Scarda, U.S. Marine Corps, 69 to 70.
Sir.
John Hanslick, Army, specifically noted his time in Vietnam as being 70 to 71. James Jacob, Army, 69 to 78.
Sir. Thank you very much.
R.C. Bomber? Barner? Bomber? Bammer? Thank you. Army, 60 to 63. I'm glad he was close enough to correct me. Steve Giles, Air Force, 70 to 94.
Thank you, sir.
Perry Ebmeyer, Army, 64 to 66. Gerald Clift, Marine Corps, 67 to 70. Okay, will you remind me? Okay. Robert Trosper Jr., Air Force and Navy, 56 to 86. Another long period of time, and 2 different branches. Thank you for that. I see you're only wearing a Navy sweatshirt, though. Gene Windhorst, U.S. Navy, 65 to 69. James Pape, Air Force, 65 to 70. Mike Nesville, Army, 66 to 67. Dean Kreitlow, Air Force, 70 to 74. Is Dean here? Am I close on that? No. Charles Gorman, Army, 69 to 70. Claude Robinson, Army, 60 to 63. Eugene Mitchell, Marine Corps, 66 to 68. Dale Finner, Army, 63 to 67. Michael Mucha, Air Force, 70 to 71. Which was it? Say it again? Muta?
Yep.
Muta. Michael Muta. William... What is it? Miller? No. William Miller, Navy, 69 to 70. Thanks for helping me out there. Richard Darrell, Sr., Marine Corps, 67 to 70. Chris Darrell, Air Force, 73 to 93. Judith Darrell, Air Force, 67 to 94. Talman Fernandez, Marines, 69 to 70. John Smith, that one I can read. Air Force, 68 to 94? Is that right? Thank you. Long period, again. And did I get the name right? Thank you. Manny Grimstad, Air Force, 67 to 68. Don Priester, Army, 66 to 68. William Myers, Navy, 66 to 70.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming today. Gregory Ventura, Air Force, 61 to 81. Michael, it looks like Wigand, Wygard, or Wygand, Navy, 67 to 69. I think I'm going to have to admit defeat. It's John, I cannot read the last name. Air Force, 50 to 70. Is that you, sir? What is your last name? What is your last name? What is it? Fall?
Yeah, like Fall of the Year.
Fall? Okay, John Fall. I got it then.
Kill everything except-
That's not how it... Is that you?
Kill everything but the P and the H.
I couldn't tell it was a P and an H. That's why I had some trouble. John Fall, everyone. Ralph Burman, Army, 65 to 70. Pat Jones, Air Force, 62 to 90. Roger Smith, Marine Corps, 63 to 66. George Mattson, Army Infantry, 69 to 71. Gus Erickson, Air Force, 55 to 75. Jim Meyer, Air Force, 64 to 68. Mark Sowitsky, Army, 72 to 75. And Jerry Dubiak, Air Force, 56 to 76. Those were those last veterans who've already received their pins. It's a good opportunity for me to just mention how grateful we are to Bellevue University for their support today, for the facilities and all of the behind-the-scenes support that you haven't seen. We have one other brief addition for the program. I'd like to introduce Jim Meyer. He's the director of the Nebraska chapter of Honor and Remember, and there are some flyers on your tables that he wanted to discuss.
Very briefly, and I'm Air Force, so in spite of that, I'll try not to make any mistakes. Don Burman, by the way, earlier said, seeing through the eyes of a veteran. For me, there's kind of two parts of that. There's seeing the eyes through the eyes of a veteran when I got discharged in '68, and now, a number of years later, I see differently. Okay, and I may have to go to VA for eye care, but it's not because of what I see up here, I don't think. Okay. So three quick things, and that's why I asked for this time, because you're really such a key piece of the audience here. I talked to Steve Lieber yesterday, who's the military reporter for the Omaha World Herald, and he taps into me once in a while with some requests, and the request was he's wanting to do, and he's going to do an article on Agent Orange, people who died as a result of Agent Orange, and he's looking for people. Contact and or are still suffering from Agent Orange. So that includes family members. So if you have one of these flyers out here, that's how you can get a hold of me, so I can get that information to him. The second thing is the reference to the Honor and Remember flag. As a chapter of 9 members, all volunteer, including Gold Star family members, what we do is provide families who want the flag, the Honor and Remember flag, which is a national symbol of recognition of a fallen, with those flags. And it's harder to identify and reach families that are pre-war on terror. So if you know of any, how many of you know individuals, how many of you served with men or women that didn't come home? Okay. Might they still have family that you know of? If so, please, I just want to say this 5 times, but I'll just say it 2 because they're brief. Please let me know, because we have delivered honorary member flags to those family members. One recently as a result of Agent Orange death. And those flags, by the way, are embroidered, they're personalized with the rank of the fallen, their name, their date of death, and the country in which they died. Okay. Third thing is the flyer. If you haven't got one of these flyers, please see me before you leave. Is that on Armed Forces Day, Saturday evening, March 21st, which is a Saturday, we're doing a first time ever concert called Let Freedom Sing for military personnel. And the guests of honor are families of the fallen from all wars. They will previously have a dinner. They will do a Families of the Fallen walk to the Holland Center and be front and center. And it's a golden opportunity for many people who don't have an opportunity to say, I'm sorry for your loss, to do that in a magnitude of over 200 family members that will be there. So if you're inclined to attend, you're available, that's great. And by golly, if you're there for the walk, please wear your colors. Please wear your hats, okay? Because we flank those families with Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, American Legion Riders, men and women in uniform, American Legion Riders, and Proud Americans. Target is 1,000 people there. To say, your son, your fallen, your husband, your dad, your mom, who died, is not forgotten, is honored, is remembered. It's the least we can do.
I've been saying all day, but we cannot emphasize enough, and that is thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for coming today. There'd be no program without Vietnam veterans to honor and welcome home.